Curren from the Azel Memorial Library, and welcome to Book Hooks. We're actually going to be talking about movies today, and I've got some really good ones. So the first one I want to mention is The Homesman. I loved this movie. It kind of made me think of True Grit, the one they redid recently. It wasn't what I would call a true Western, but it is set in the Nebraska frontier in the 1800s. So it's got that kind of early American kind of feel to it. So it stars Tommy Lee Jones and Hilary Swank, who are both amazing actors. Hilary Swank, I think, has a really wide repertoire of characters she can play. Tommy Lee Jones seems to always kind of play the same guy, just doing different films. Even in Men in Black, he kind of was still Tommy Lee Jones. But in this, I feel like he played more of a character than normal, which was really kind of refreshing to see. So the movie is rated R. I would not recommend you watch this with your children. There's some violence, a little bit of nudity, and there is one sex scene that isn't very graphic, but they do some talking. And there's some disturbing behavior. And the reason there's disturbing behavior is Hilary Swank, who plays Mary B. Cuddy, lives in the Nebraska frontier, as I mentioned. She lives alone. She's a single woman, which at the time was just unheard of. She's very independent. She very much wants a husband because she wants someone to help her out with the farm, I think, more than anything. But she is drafted to take 3 women from Nebraska to Iowa. The 3 women she's taking have literally gone insane. This is back when Nebraska was first being settled. There were no trees, harsh wind, beautiful country, but to live there was a very, very rough life. They'd had a really bad winter. All of the crops froze. The cattle and livestock all froze. Many children were dying. They were malnourished. There was no food, no work, nothing. So she agrees to take these women who are pretty much catatonic. None of them are speaking, or if they do, it's nonsense. They can't care for themselves. So along the way, I won't tell you how she meets him because it's kind of an interesting story, but she meets George Briggs, who's Tommy Lee Jones, and she kind of coerces him into helping her. He's very selfish. He's very out to get what's his. He's a drifter. He's not doing this out of the kindness of his heart. He's doing it for money. But he agrees to go along the journey and help, essentially care for these women as they travel. I won't tell you how it ends because the ending actually did surprise me. It's very infrequent that I am surprised by a movie, but I thought the movie was fabulous. This is something I'm going to recommend to everyone I know who is an adult. Like I said, it's not for children. The acting was amazing. The scenery and cinematography was beautiful. The whole opening credit sequence was just these long shots of the plains with sunset, daytime, sunrise. It was just gorgeous. And there's also some really good behind the scenes features in this, the making of the movie. It was actually based off of a short story. So they talk about how they translated that into the movie. I highly recommend watching the bonus features on this. So that's The Homesman, rated R, but a really, really good film. The next movie, this actually won the Oscar this year, Birdman, but I think it really didn't. I hadn't even heard of it till it came out on DVD. I think a lot of people might have missed it because it's a very obscure film. It stars Michael Keaton. Again, it's rated R, so viewer discretion is advised as normal. I would not recommend this for children, but the movie is very quirky. There were parts of it where I thought this is just flat out weird, but then there were other parts where I'm like, this is genius. So Michael Keaton plays a kind of a washed out actor who used to play a character called Birdman in, superhero kind of movies. And he hasn't acted in a couple decades, so he kind of wants to make a comeback. And he doesn't want to be known as Birdman anymore. He wants to be known as himself, as the actor. So he writes and stars in a play. It's an off-Broadway play. And it also has Edward Norton in it, who's in the play, 2 other women. It's just a 4-character play. And literally the entire movie, except for a few street scenes in New York, is filmed in this theater. They went to a real theater in New York. They film a lot kind of in I don't know all the terminology, but all the hallways and the dressing rooms. And the whole movie is just this one area. They do go onto the streets a little bit, which I thought was fantastic because usually in New York movies it's just a set with a street and you're not really in New York. They were literally on the streets of New York from like the human eye viewpoint. So it's kind of this play where he wants this play to really succeed. The critics are against him. Edward Norton, who's in the play with him, is kind of against him. His daughter, who's a recovering drug addict, is in the film, and she kind of has her own little side story. I almost didn't want to talk about this movie today until I watched the bonus features. The making of the movie was definitely worth watching. I would wait till after you watch the movie to watch it. What's really cool, because I don't know a lot about filming and cinematography and screenplays and how they make movies, is they film this with single shots. So instead of having a camera facing an actor and another camera facing the other actor, and then they can cut and pick the pieces, they literally would start in the theater, follow the scene, follow an actor back to their dressing room. The dressing room, there would be a conversation, the actor would leave it, go to another room, and the camera didn't stop rolling the whole time. They just literally followed them and moved as they went. So they had to take these really long takes where they really didn't have time to stop and start over. It was funny, but a dark humor. There were definitely parts that were kind of really hard to watch in the sense of you just really kind of feel like this depression that some of the characters have. But there were other parts where it's really kind of uplifting, where you're thinking, yeah, I mean, he's going to pull through. Overall, a really good movie that I would definitely recommend. Just keep an open mind while you watch it. And that was Birdman. So I have two documentaries I want to mention. One is not what I thought it was going to be, but it was awesome. Code Black. This came out just this last year, and it features the LA County in California emergency room. And up until recently, they were in this really old building. They had this very unique emergency room setup where everything was just like in its own big open room with no privacy. And then they go to this modern day hospital where everyone has private rooms and everything's computerized, and they have to meet all of these new HIPAA standards. I thought the movie was going to be more about a day in the life of an emergency room. You know, you see those shows on TLC where they're showing, this case comes in and he had his appendix explode and they had to do surgery. It wasn't about the medical aspect of it. It was about what is it like to be a doctor in today's world in an emergency room, but any hospital setting. It does talk a little bit about the whole healthcare debate going on, but not in a political sense. It just gives you the perspective that many doctors have of they almost don't even care. They just want those barriers of health insurance and paperwork to just not be a barrier to healthcare. They just want to treat the patients, and you really see their passion in this movie, because a lot of the doctors in here are just residents, and you start with their first year and then you go to their fourth year and you see how their views have changed on how they care for patients. But it also really talks about the drastic need of more healthcare in this world. The county hospital they're in is publicly funded, and there's only a few publicly funded hospitals in our country. So their resources are very scarce. They have a very high nursing shortage. So they are constantly in what they call code black, where the waiting room is completely full. They have patients waiting 13 to 18 hours to see care. And these are not people with, I broke my arm skateboarding. These are low income. They have nowhere else to go. They are desperate. They literally might have a brain tumor. They could be bleeding out. I mean, they obviously have triage, so they treat the most needed patients first. But you really see the passion from the doctor's point of view. So if you're interested at all in healthcare, hospitals, medicine, or if you really just want to learn something from a point of view that you haven't seen before, I really do recommend Code Black. Now, as far as the bonus features go on here, there's really just a really kind of odd short film, kind of artsy thing that they also did. It was okay. And then the guy who is actually a doctor in this hospital is the one who filmed it and directed it. He does an interview with some lady, I don't know who she was. The interview was okay. It gave you some ideas of what it was like to try to film and work as a doctor at the same time, but you could skip the bonus features on this if you wanted to. But Code Black, it's an hour and a half long, but it's fascinating. And my next documentary, Fed Up. So we're going from medicine to food. I'm not trying to make any personal statements about the documentaries I'm talking about. I think the one I just talked about and this one both give you opinions from the filmmakers, but you have to decide what your own opinion is. So Fed Up is a documentary on, something that everyone has done a documentary on. health, weight loss, diet, all of that good stuff. I mean, I think the fad kind of started with Super Size Me, and we've had 1.5 million documentaries since then. And everybody seems to attack one thing or another. Oh, it's the fast food chains. Oh, it's the government. Oh, it's the whatever. This one, which is narrated by Katie Couric, clearly has its opinions on what's causing weight loss in this world, and it's bad diet. It's not just a matter of, oh, we don't eat well. It's a matter of we are bombarded. They almost compare what life in America is like to a drug addict. So if you have someone who's trying to recover from a methamphetamine addiction, if they were surrounded by methamphetamines everywhere they went, and ads for methamphetamines, and they go to the store and there's methamphetamines for sale, they're not going to have a quick recovery. It's going to be hard. Well, it's the same thing for people who are trying to be healthy. We're bombarded with sugar in 80% of our food products from the grocery store. There's ads for it. It's easy to get. It's not just about low fat or diet foods. There's a whole culmination of it's just we are in a packaged, ready to eat food economy. And there's no one simple solution. Some of the food industry lobbies to government to help change the regulations, maybe in their favor a little bit. It talks about that. The government tries to do their part, but is it enough? There's the whole debate in this movie. It also features several teenagers who are obese and trying to lose weight. And it really gives you a picture of the plight that they have, especially as teenagers, because their families play a big role in what they eat. The schools and the school lunches play a big role, but it's also just really shows you if you're trying to just lose weight as an individual, it's not easy. You have to have the support of everyone around you, and they have to be knowledgeable and know what's healthy and what's not. I thought this was just absolutely very informative. It really opened my eyes. I know I'm going to try to eat better, eating whole foods, cooking your own foods. It's not trying to tout one diet or another. It's just saying basically what's kind of wrong with the world today, as every other documentary wants to do. So, Fed Up, it's one of the better documentaries on weight loss and health that I've seen lately. Okay, so my last two are going to be a real treat for anyone who loves Downton Abbey. And if you don't love Downton Abbey, you need to watch it because you will love it, I promise. So there's two really, really great documentaries that came out very recently. The Secrets of Highclere Castle, which that's the castle where Downton Abbey is filmed. This is really cool because they show you not only the parts of Downton Abbey where they film, but they go kind of behind the scenes to the other hallways and rooms, and you get to see parts of the castle you've never seen before. And I think a lot of people don't know, this is a working castle. They have a real family that lives there. They have their own butler and maids and all of those good things. They really show you, you know, the difference between the TV show and now and everything that's going on with it. And I thought one of the cutest things was the butler who works there today said he would definitely hire the head butler from Downton Abbey. So I think they're doing something right with that. But really cool documentary. And I don't believe there were any bonus features on this. But the other documentary I wanted to show you, this is about an hour long, and it's called The Manners of Downton Abbey. So this goes all into the etiquette and the customs and what was okay and not okay at the time. The documentary features the man who's actually hired to help Downton Abbey and the actors get all of their customs right. And he goes into various aspects of their culture at the time. But what's really cool is they show a lot of the scenes that as they're filming, so you get to see kind of behind the scenes while they're in the middle of a scene. They interview some of the actors, and they kind of talk about what it's like to wear some of these costumes and what it's like to have to change their clothes 50,000 times a day and all of the other things that are involved with this. This was really interesting. It didn't go as in-depth as I thought it would, and I actually would have liked it to be longer so I could see more, but I think it was a nice glimpse. It was filmed very, very recently, so there are spoilers in this. If you have not seen the most recent season of Downton Abbey, watch it before you watch this, because I would have been very upset if I found out some of the things they talked about without having known it. There is one bonus feature in this. It's called How to Make a Dress or something like that. It was okay. I thought it would be actually like how to assemble one of these fabulous dresses that they wear. It was just really them saying, oh look, we found a vintage dress, we sewed on some new beads, and now Mary wore it. It was really short. It was not as cool as I thought it would be, but it was still neat to watch. This is one movie that I don't recommend you buy. I don't think it's worth the money, but I do recommend you watch it. So check it out from your local library. If you come to the Azel Library, we definitely have a copy. If you have a local library, tell them you want to see it. Maybe they'll buy it. So, just to refresh you, we did The Homesman, Birdman, Code Black, Fed Up, Secrets of Highclere Castle, and The Manners of Downton Abbey. Highly recommend all of them. I guess I didn't put any kid-friendly movies in here, so I'll have to do that for my next video. But check these out from our library or your local library, and we'll see you next time.